So when you think of Mario and RPGs, you think of either two things. The first one, the Mario and Luigi games, but the second one is the Paper Mario series. If you play any of the games, you're probably gonna have a great time with them, except for this one. Now lately I was in the crave for this game, and with the announcement of Nintendo Switch Online adding Paper Mario in a few days, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about one of my favorite RPGs. And my personal favorite Paper Mario game. Now this wasn't the first Paper Mario game I've played, that would be its sequel, The Thousand Year Door. I still remember the day I bought it at Circuit City. Wow, I feel so old talking about that. That's a store I haven't been to in years. Okay, so when you talk about a Mario RPG game, you have to bring up the very first one. Super Mario RPG for the SNES.
Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, that game. This game was pretty good at the time, so it was bound to get a sequel. However, the game didn't get one. Well, kinda, since Super Mario RPG was made by Squaresoft, now by Square Enix, they technically own the rights to the name. So while brainstorming of a brand new idea for a Mario RPG game, someone made this artwork of 2D characters in a 3D background. And this new art style became the whole direction for the new Mario RPG game, going under the development name of Mario RPG 64. Later on, they showed off screenshots of the game in really early development. And then, a few months later, Paper Mario released to the world, or Mario's Story in Japan.
Help!
Mario's back in a new adventure! He has new friends with special abilities! He has new enemies with funky attacks! But will he save the princess?
Help!
Find out in Paper Mario! Rated E for everyone.
I just had to play that commercial. I freaking love it. It's just so fun to watch. Anyway, on to the story of the game. So the game starts off with this storybook that tells the story of the Star Rod that lives in Star Heaven. The Star Rod is a powerful wand that the star uses to make wishes come true. But considering this is a Mario game, that means Bowser wants that power. And so, with the power of tape, Bowser was able to infiltrate the sanctuary. And then all hell breaks loose as Bowser breaks the barrier and steals the Star Rod. And as for the stars that were guarding the Star Rod, well, they were captured and sealed into cards. With the Star Rod in hand, Bowser flies away to start his plan. And so, without the Star Rod, the stars cannot make wishes come true to anyone on Earth. Meanwhile, down back on Earth, Mario and Luigi get a letter from Peach saying that they're invited to a party. And so they head off to Peach's castle, where the whole place is packed with people. However, the party cuts abruptly short as the castle starts shaking really hard, as the whole place literally rises up into the air and into outer space. Bowser then crashes through the window and starts fighting Mario. And this is a battle you cannot win because Bowser has a Star Rod now, and he uses it to make him invincible. And after one final blow, Mario is out. He then uses the rod to kick Mario out of the castle 1,000 feet from the air. So now it's up to Mario to stop Bowser by reclaiming the star spirits from different worlds. And that is the main idea of Paper Mario. Now the story itself is a lot similar to the previous one, Super Mario RPG.
Super Mario RPG.
But instead of fighting some sort of alien thing, you're fighting Bowser again. Even down to the idea, like, you start off the game fighting Bowser and then you get kicked out. In a way, you can say this is kind of like a reboot of Super Mario RPG. Enough with the song already! So for the gameplay, there is two types of gameplay in this game. There's the main world, where you're traveling around exploring these vast lands, and there's the battle system. There's a lot of exploration in this game. You really feel like you're exploring the Mushroom Kingdom in this game. With my favorite area of the game is actually Toad Town itself, the center of the whole world. It feels very lively compared to other Mario games. I also like the fact that if you go down this pipe, you can actually visit Mario's house itself, where Luigi is just chilling there, minding his own business. Hey, what are you reading? Now Mario's not going alone on this adventure.
He has new friends with special abilities.
The allies Mario has in the game are based on the enemies he usually fights in normal games. However, they have different designs to make them more unique. Like for the first one, we have Goombario, who has more of a kid-like design compared to the other Goombas. He's very useful in battles when you're trying to be strategic and trying to figure out what the character's health is. Now for the other partners, they are really useful. For Cooper, he has this shell that can get things from distance or hit switches from distance. Bombette is self-explanatory. She's a bomb that blows stuff up. Parakarry is a paratrooper that can fly Mario for a short distance. He is also my favorite partner in the game due to his design and how well he does in battle. Lady Bo is a ghost, so she can make Mario go through solid objects. She's also the only one who actually has the Star Spirits, but you need to help her first before you can get it. Anyway, so Watt is an electric orb thing that can light up the dark. She can also use her powers to light up invisible objects, so she's very useful for a completionist. Sushi is the character that can go through water. And last but not least, Spike. He makes Mario moves a lot faster, and he can go over hazardous objects like spikes or lava. And for the secondary gameplay style, it's the battle system. So for the battles, Mario has two ideas. One is to jump on them, or the second is the hammer, which carried over from the previous game. Unlike that game, however, you need to be more strategic on what you choose. Because, for example, if there's a spike enemy, you can't jump on them because Mario will get hurt. So you use your hammer instead. Likewise, if there is an enemy that's flying, you can't use your hammer, so you have to jump on them. And for your partners, they all have a different type of attack. They can be very useful as some of them can do multiple enemies at once, or they can do one powerful attack for one enemy. The battle system is when the partners are at their best, because when it comes to the base game where you're exploring and all, they're very situational. If you see a treadmill, it's time to bring up Lady Bo. If there's a gap, bring out the Parakarry. If there's an item out of range, bring out Cooper. However, for the battle system, all of them are useful for different reasons. Like, there's a reason why to bring out Goombario, because he can bring out information of the enemies. Characters like Sushi, Lady Bo, and Watt are grateful for defense options. And while you're exploring the Mushroom Kingdom, you can actually find these orbs that can power up your partners, where not only they get a new move, but they're more powerful with their normal attacks as well. Same with Mario, can upgrade his equipment to be even more powerful. Now another strategic thing in battle is the badges. These are equipments that Mario can use to do different attacks. Like for example, with this badge, Mario can throw his hammer at the enemies. So if there's an enemy with a spike on its head and it's flying in the air, Mario can use the hammer throw to get the enemy. Now when it comes to special attacks, there's two limits. The first one is the flower points. You need a certain amount of flower points to do that kind of attack. So it's not best to use your most powerful attacks that cost so much flower points. The second limit is called badge points. For every badge, there's a meter on it telling you how much badge points you need to equip it. The more powerful the badge is, the more badge points it'll cost. So equip those badges wisely. So as I said before, since they couldn't do a sequel to the previous Mario RPG game, they had to go on with a different style and everything. And what we have here is a really great looking game, even by N64 standards. Now in later entries, they make the paper theming a bit more obvious. Besides some exceptions like scenes where Mario is floating down as a paper, you're most likely gonna probably forget that most of the characters in this game is made of paper, except for these weirdly 3D model pigs. Like, what the heck is this all about? Now for the 2D characters specifically, they hold up really well. They have a nice little pixel art style to them, and they really blend in with the 3D world that they created in this game. And for signs like the snowy mountains and Star Heaven, they just look spectacular. And they know how to do well with color to give out a good mood. Like when you hit the Boo Village in this game, you can feel a sense of danger. Or in Chapter 5, when you start off with this peaceful tropical resort, and then it gets dire with the dark colors and everything when you reach the volcano. When it comes to N64 games, they don't hold up visually well compared to SNES. But when it comes to Paper Mario 64, it's a rare example of an N64 game aging pretty well for all things considered. The only thing that I can think of that comes close to Paper Mario's style at the time is probably Klonoa. albeit the sprite works in Klonoa are different compared to Paper Mario, where Paper Mario is a hand-drawn style, while Klonoa is a 3D rendered style. I also like how your partners, even though there's stuff like Goombas and Koopas and stuff, they have different designs to make them more distinct. And that goes to the NPCs themselves. It may be not as original and stuff like 1,000 Year Door, but what we have here is pretty good. I also love the fact that the Koopa Bros are a parody of the Ninja Turtles. I freaking love that show. Now, I said a lot of positives, but there's just one little gripe I have with this game, and it's about for a specific chapter. Okay, so there's one chapter in this game I cannot stand, and it's chapter 4, where you're going inside this toy box to solve this mystery of Shy Guys. Okay, I'm over exaggerating. It's really not that bad, but it could be very tedious. Backtracking is the name, and there's a lot of it. So when you start the chapter, there's this train track that you can't get on because you don't have a cart. So you go all the way to this area to find this key that Shy Guy has, but get ready to see this cutscene a lot when you're going back and forth several times. Though if you want to know what my favorite chapter of the game is, it's easily the next chapter, chapter 5. So in chapter 5, this whole area is literally a tribute to Yoshi's Island. As you enter the island, you find this special village full of Yoshis. And throughout this chapter, this Koopa named Colorado will follow through the adventure. Albeit he is a comic relief character. He's pretty much something like Indiana Jones, but clearly not as skilled. Anyway, so the point of this chapter is that you first trying to find out the baby Yoshis who fled. Eventually, you'll be climbing up this gigantic tree where you'll find Raphael the Raven from Yoshi's Island. Now you're traveling through this volcano, and it's really cool. And then we end things off by fighting this lava piranha plant who makes a striking resemblance to the naval piranha plant from Yoshi's Island. And it doesn't stop there. As you defeat the boss, the lava starts rising, so it's an escape sequence. You climb, climb, climb until you find the treasure. But it's too late, so you have to fly away from it.
My treasure! No! And the treasure just flew out completely unharmed, despite it being made of wood and being inside of lava and fire.
This was a really fun and memorable chapter. And this is my personal favorite moment in any other Paper Mario game. Now, Mario is not the only character you're playing throughout the game. There is actually one more, which is Peach. So throughout the game, you take control of Peach at the end of every chapter, where she explores her castle that's been taken over by Bowser's crew. That way, she's able to find out information of where the next Star Spirit is. You discover where the location is in interesting ways, whether it's reading Bowser's diary or Bowser just saying it out loud. With my personal favorite is Peach tried to make a cake so this giant fat Shy Guy will tell her the information. I really like this old minigame, it's really cute and charming. She even goes on a game show that the minions are running, with one of the answers literally being where the next Star Spirit location is. You can also find items in the game where you can put it in this chest and it'll teleport where Mario can... Wait, if she has a chest that can teleport her back to Earth, why couldn't she just use it? Okay, never mind what I ask. What I like about these sections is that since you cannot fight the enemies, you have to start sneaking around them. Kind of like Metal Gear. Later on, you can find this cool parasol that can turn you into an enemy to blend in with the others. However, this doesn't last long, as since you can fool the regular enemies, Kimmy can see you through your disguise since she's more smart. And since they completed their project, they started preparing for the final battle. So once you've collected the final Star Spirits, it's time to fight Bowser. You return to Star Hill, and then you ascend into the skies. And this has some of my favorite music in the game. It just has this nice, quiet song to it. It sounds like something you're about to go to sleep, like you're trying to relax and trying to listen to this beautiful music. And just look at the stars in the sky, they just look amazing. It's a great example on what aesthetics can do to a game like this. So as you traverse to this little star town, you find the Sanctuary of the Star Spirits. You've seen this place every time you boot up the game, but it's really cool to see that you're finally at this location. Once you've entered the area, you've been given this vehicle that can get you straight to Bowser's castle. And while you're flying in the air, everyone is wishing for your best of luck. Now time for the final chapter, which is Bowser's Castle. And this place is massive. It's swarming with enemies, dungeons, caves, and puzzles. It's pretty much like a gauntlet where you have to use all your partner's abilities to get through the game. So eventually you'll get to the top of the castle. This is where Bowser is waiting for you. And I like it how this is literally the same spot where you fought him in the first part of the game. But this time you have a lot more skill and you have this weakness, which is the Star Beam, which can remove his invincibility spell. So he went down no problem. Since Bowser realized Mario can beat him, he rushes up to the top of the castle where he built this giant arena, which makes Bowser a lot stronger and larger. And worst of all, he's now immune to the Star Beam. Mario is pretty much screwed until Twink shows up to save Peach. And we have here is a little boss fight that can showcase the star's power. When you first attack Cammy, she can feel nothing, and her attacks hurt Twink by a lot. However, when Peach started wishing for Twink, he starts to become more powerful, to the point where he can stand a giant block falling onto his head. With this knowledge out of the way, the Star Spirits were able to get stronger, to the point where he can now attack Bowser. And now the true final battle starts, and this is probably my favorite boss fight in the game. It's just so tense, and the fact that you have to do all of your skills and your best to try and survive is amazing. I ended up having really low on stock by the time I finished. It's definitely a great way to end this game. And once you've overcome Bowser, you can finally obtain the Star Rod. However, this causes a meltdown around the arena, and Bowser's castle is about to explode. Luckily, they were able to save Peach's castle, and as it floats down back to Earth. The Star Spirits thank Mario for all of this hard work, and now everyone is at peace. A few days later, Mario gets invited to another party, along with his partners. Luckily for this time, there's no castle underneath the place that'll lift it up to space. And that concludes Paper Mario. So after the success of Paper Mario, it spawned multiple sequels in the series, which led to Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, which is considered the best game in the series. And yeah, it is definitely the most original Mario game yet. However, after this is when the Paper Mario series and the community kinda went a bit shaky. Super Paper Mario was a really fun game, in my opinion. I really loved it when I was little. Even though the gameplay was drastically different compared to the other two, it still felt like Paper Mario when it comes to settings and tone. However, this went into sour overnight as Paper Mario got a somewhat reboot of the series with Sticker Star. And you know how that went. Color Splash released and it went very negative when it was first announced. It was literally the equivalent of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival 2. However, when it did release, it went for a, okay, it was not bad kind of game. I personally really liked it, but I know it's a thing that not a lot of people wanted. Then Origami released years later, and yeah, it was pretty good, but still, they didn't listen. This is the main problem that a lot of people have with Paper Mario series. It changed too much from its beginnings, to the point where it's mostly not an RPG series anymore. There was a lot of fingers on why they changed Paper Mario. I think one of the main ones at the time was that since they had the Mario and Luigi series, they thought they could do something else with Paper Mario, since they don't need another Mario RPG series. Which makes it even sadder considering what happened with the Mario and Luigi series. Currently, the only actual Mario RPG series that's still active is the Mario and Rabbids crossover. I don't know, man, people were all over the place when it comes to Paper Mario. I don't know, honestly I think the only chance we have with Paper Mario going back to an old RPG gameplay is if they remake the original game. Kinda like how Alpha Dream remade the original Mario & Luigi game. I don't know, man, this whole controversy around Origami King just made things worse. Like, I really liked Origami King, but the interview they had a while back was just... why? They're pretty much using a character bible for the Paper Mario series to make it all brand friendly. But this is a spin-off game in an RPG, so I feel like you're allowed to go loose with it. And with other Mario spin-off games on the Switch, it proves that Intelligent Systems are just making strict rules for themselves. But that's enough rambling for the future. Let's talk about the first game. And on a personal level, I really love it, and it's still my favorite game in the series. I think objectively, The Thousand Year Door is better, but I personally like the original a bit more. Yeah, Thousand Year Door had the more grander scale and more interesting set pieces, but it all goes down to this. Paper Mario 64 is a game that is very special to me. This is one of my favorite N64 games of all time, and it's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. And out of any of the Mario RPG games over the years, this is the one I played the most. But I think that'll do for today, so thank you for watching and I'll see you later. Bye!